Did you know a single palm leaf bundle can hold a family's medical knowledge, a village's founding story, and recipes for life-saving remedies, all written in a script that's been cared for by generations? Picture a bundle tied with faded thread, the edges darkened by centuries of hands, the smell of sun-warmed leaves and iron-rich ink. What do those pages tell us about how Khmer communities remembered, healed, and decided what mattered? Welcome to Ancient Echoes, where we dive deep into the heart of Cambodian culture and history. I'm your host, Samnang Bradley, and joining me is my co-host, Rachana Soul.
In today's episode, we're exploring Khmer New Year, how a 3-day celebration of time, water, and renewal carries centuries of memory and hope for Cambodians everywhere. We'll walk through its origins, the way families prepare and celebrate, and what these rituals reveal about how Cambodians understand community, change, and starting again.
This episode, however, turns our attention to a related thread of memory, the manuscript traditions that preserved practical knowledge across generations. Over the next hour, we'll cover how palm leaves were prepared and written on, where manuscripts lived in communities, the everyday genres they carried, like medical recipes and legal records, and the contemporary work keeping pages readable and meaningful. Along the way, I'll use phrases that matter for discovery: Khmer manuscripts, history of Angkor-era scripts, cultural preservation, and the social life of texts. Let's explore that. Section 1. Materials and Making. Imagine an artisan selecting long, mature palm leaves, slicing and sun-drying them until they cup softly between the fingers. The process is not just technical, it's tactile knowledge passed from craftsperson to craftsperson. Leaves are trimmed, smoothed, then scored with a stylus. Ink, often a carbon-rich mixture, settles into those tiny grooves. The layout is deliberate: a narrow column, a steady hand, decorative headings where needed. The form shapes the text. Short lines, mnemonic devices, and repeated refrains fit the medium. The way a page is made tells us what the page was for.
From a cultural standpoint, the materials matter because they connect craft, knowledge, and daily life. Palm leaf manuscripts are durable when cared for, but they also require specific storage: wrapped bundles, raised shelves, and periodic oiling to deter insects. These practices are as much about communal memory as they are about conservation. The layers matter: the craftsperson's hand, the scribe's script, the household custodian who hides the bundle during the rainy season. That's where culture lives.
Section 2. The social life of texts. Manuscripts rarely stayed still. They traveled with patrons, were copied in market spaces, and lived in community libraries maintained by monastic communities and local custodians. Ownership looked different across time. Sometimes a temple or community school held a set. Sometimes a family kept a single medical manual passed down through mothers, fathers, and aunts. The circulation of these texts created networks of knowledge: healers referencing recipes, teachers borrowing chronicles, local leaders consulting legal notes. As the stories tell us, these texts were practical tools and living memory.
Let's unpack that. Who copied and who read? Scribes, often trained in community settings, balanced legibility with speed. Copying was an act of care and transmission. A copied text is a relationship between author and future reader. Women and craftspersons played key roles in preparing materials and sustaining these collections in family spaces. Consider the market sellers who traded manuscripts and the patrons who commissioned copies. The evidence shows us manuscript culture as a social practice, not a solitary archive.
Section 3. Genres and Everyday Use. Manuscripts contained a surprising range of practical genres. There were medical recipes, concise, ingredient-focused notes that guided treatment decisions. There were legal records and land notes used in local disputes and agreements. Chronicle fragments preserved origin stories for villages and lineages. Even agricultural calendars and weather observations appear in the margins. These were not abstract texts for scholars alone. They supported daily life.
What this reveals is that written and oral knowledge were entangled. A healer might consult a leaf bundle and then perform an oral remedy. A local leader could read a boundary note aloud before witnesses. Written texts often served as prompts for performance and memory, not as ends in themselves. The pattern shows us a culture where the manuscript amplifies communal practices, holding instructions, anchors for stories, and tools for decision-making.
Preservation and renewal. In recent decades, community archivists, scholars, and local custodians have piloted conservation and digitization projects that make pages accessible while respecting local priorities. Techniques range from careful cleaning and rehousing of leaf bundles to scanning initiatives that create digital surrogates. Importantly, preservation work today emphasizes community leadership, training local stewards, documenting provenance, and ensuring that digitized materials are shared in ways communities approve.
The research tells us that ethical preservation avoids extractive impulses. Instead of removing collections, effective projects support in-place care and co-designed access. Many initiatives now pair technical conservation with oral history recording so that the custodians' voices accompany the scanned pages. This is significant because it keeps context intact, the memory embedded in the object, and the people who remember it.
Listener engagement and reflection. I want to invite you to consider a few prompts. Have you encountered manuscripts, local archives, or family papers in your travels or community? How did people treat those pages? Carefully tucked away, displayed, or kept in everyday use? Share a short note or photo on social media and tag us so we can highlight community stories. If you're curious to learn more, check the show notes for suggested readings, community-led projects, and Samnang's YouTube channel, where I explore visual examples and conservation demonstrations.
If you're thinking about supporting preservation efforts, consider small, respectful steps. Follow community archive projects online, donate to locally led conservation funds, or volunteer time for transcription and metadata work when projects request it. Above all, ask permission before sharing images of culturally sensitive items and respect custodians' wishes about public access. That's the heart of the matter.
Key takeaways: manuscripts are living threads in Cambodian cultural memory, crafted objects that carried medicine, law, origin stories, and everyday knowledge. Their survival depends on hands that know how to care for them and on collaborative efforts that balance access with respect. The deeper story is that written memory and oral practice sustained each other. Together, they formed a resilient cultural archive. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe to Ancient Echoes for more insights into Cambodia's cultural treasures. Don't forget to check out Samnang Bradley's YouTube channel for visual explorations of these incredible sites.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories.
If this episode resonated with you, please follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who might appreciate these conversations.
You can also connect with us and share your own stories or questions at our handle and website. We'd love to hear how these echoes sound in your life. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
Until next time, thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair on my sight this way. Sacred power, so I mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, O teacher, witness this plea. O my sacred power, Swahai.